Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Carbonite Combos. Today we're introducing a new segment on the show called Top Moments. So in these videos we'll go through about 5 to 10 moments of a particular character from a specific medium. So, we'll just get right into it. As you all know from the title of today's video, our first episode of Top Moments is the top 5 R2-D2 moments from the prequel trilogy. So we will get started with number 5, which is where R2 saves Padme in the droid foundry on Geonosis. So this scene comes from episode 2, Attack of the Clones. They're in the droid factory on Geonosis, and I like this because it's kind of that classic R2-D2 move. We have the damsel in distress with Padme, inside the lava mechanism, and she's about to get just absolutely drowned in this magma above her, and luckily R2-D2 just swoops in there at the final second and is able to save her. So, as you guys can see on your screen, we have the mechanism going to work now. Padme just is about to get demolished by this fire, and we have the classic R2-D2. He's right where you need him at exactly the right time. So that had to be number 5 on our list. We see Padme fall there and escape death. But up next at number 4, we have R2 defeating the Buzz Droid. This is another, really badass moment by R2-D2 because we see Obi-Wan and Anakin, trying to get to General Grievous's starship. Obviously, they have a lot of traffic in their way, but Obi-Wan's ship gets taken over by Buzz Droids, and they just tear apart his ship and just wreck R4. Then obviously Anakin gets a little straggler here, and this is where we see R2 in action. We just saw these Buzz Droids just absolutely rip the head off of R4, and we know that it's not going to be a problem for R2. Obviously they're having him aim for the center eye there, and he just handles business like he always does. With that Buzz Droid just floating into space. Next up at number 3, we have R2 repairing the shields on the Nubian Royal Starship. So this comes from the Phantom Menace. They're trying to escape Naboo, but obviously the Trade Federation has a blockade surrounding the planet. So no supplies can get in or out, no ships can get in or out. And then we have these droids just up there trying to repair their shields, because if they don't get it repaired, they're going to be sitting ducks, like the commander says. So luckily they have R2 on their side, and he is able to get in there and fix everything. And this is cool because this is the canon. This is the first time that R2 really just saves the day. We see him in the original trilogy. Obviously that came out before this, but this is the first time in the Star Wars timeline that we're able to see it. So definitely a cool scene right there with R2. Next is arguably one of the coolest scenes when it comes to original trilogy fans. Up next is the moment that R2-D2 first meets C-3PO. So this is really cool because C-3PO and R2-D2 are arguably two of the most recognized characters in all of Star Wars, and by far the most recognizable droids. We see them in the original trilogy. They're two iconic characters in pop culture, and what's cool is this is the exact moment that they meet. I think it really plays into their friendship that R2 would crack some jokes at 3PO about how he's naked, and how his wires are showing and stuff like that. So I think that's a really good start off to their friendship, and shows what their relationship is like throughout the next 9, 10, 11 movies, including Solo and Rogue One and all that. But definitely a cool scene. And rounding off the countdown at number 1 is R2 defeating the 2 super battle droids on General Grievous's Dreadnought. So this is really cool just because, we don't often see these kind of characters paired up together, especially in a little fight scene. And here, R2's drawn a lot of attention to himself because Obi-Wan, his voice came over the comlink, so he's trying to help Obi-Wan and Anakin out with the elevator. So it's cool because, a Jedi would just absolutely tear through these super battle droids in a couple seconds, but astromechs aren't made to handle that type of confrontation with, super battle droids. Again, they're not anything crazy against Jedi or warriors, but when it comes to a little astromech, you're kind of curious as to how they'd handle it. But we should know not to worry by now with R2, because he came up with the clever idea. Just dump some oil on him, you know, get the rockets out and just light the babies up. So now we're going to go and do a couple of honorable mentions. The first being where R2 puts 3PO back together during the Battle of Geonosis. It's a pretty cool scene, you know. It's nothing too badass. It is cool just because it's in the middle of this big fight. You know, it's the first time the clones arrive. We have thousands of droids, hundreds of Jedi, so it's a crucial battle during the time of the Clone Wars, and we just see R2 and 3PO right in the middle of it, seemingly avoiding all these shots. So it's pretty cool. You know, we've seen a couple different people put 3PO back together, but this is definitely one of the cooler ones. And we will now get into our other honorable mention, which is just R2 being R2's presence. You know, he's there at some crucial times in the Star Wars story. So we had a hard time not putting this in the top 5, just because it's technically not one scene. You know, it's a couple different ones. Obviously, here we have Padme and Anakin's wedding, and you can see R2-D2 and 3PO present as well. So it's pretty cool, just because obviously this is a really secretive wedding, but it just shows how these characters really were there for the entire ride. So it's definitely a cool scene, especially to end Attack of the Clones. So we're gonna wait for this little clip to end, and then we will get on with the final presence of R2-D2. So it's pretty cool. You know, we see them rounding off Attack of the Clones right there, and we jump into Revenge of the Sith. So he was present at Padme and Anakin's wedding, and then, you know, one of the other more significant scenes is he was there for the birth of the twins, Luke and Leia. So, you know, it's really interesting. You know, we see Rise of Skywalker now, and R2-D2 is actually at the bed of Princess Leia when she dies. So it just goes to show how many iconic scenes that R2's in. He's there for, you know, their wedding. He's there for the birth of the twins, and then lastly, to round it off, unfortunately, he's there. You know, the sad scene on the screen where Padme passes on into the Force, but he's there for Padme's death, and again, he's just always that droid that's always there. So, you know, we hope you enjoyed this video on R2-D2. When we were sitting down thinking of who to talk about first, R2 was definitely one of the top few, and he ended up taking the reins for you know, episode number 1 of Top Moments. So again, we hope you enjoyed it. We have episode 11 coming at you this weekend for the regular podcast. But until then, as always, may the Force be with you guys.
Remember, the Force will be with you. Always.